Well, it is hard to imagine that things just actually got worse for the all-time great who is in the worst situation of any other all-time great in their primes ever outside of arguably Hakeem Olajuwon. But, well, here we are. As the village idiot Nepo baby Josh Kroenke stepped to a podium yesterday to finally, at long last, introduce the team's new general manager after a long and protracted search. Himself. Well, kind of. It is still unclear exactly what will be the dynamics of this pairing, but there really is no general manager, and that's the plan. He introduced Ben Tenzer as Vice President of Basketball Operations, and John Wallace will become the VP of Player Personnel. But rest assured, they will both be reporting directly to Kroenke, and he will be very involved.
I think in times of transition, I need to be a little bit more hands-on. And so I'm going to be around quite a little bit, as these guys are kind of assuming their roles, making sure things are moving smoothly.
And thank God, the village idiot, born with a silver spoon in his mouth, who has never accomplished anything in his entire life, who can't even pick the guys who pick the players, will be heavily involved here.
I trust both these guys, and I'm going to be in constant communication with them both.
And for those of you who might not know, well, Josh Kroenke is the son of Ann Walton, an heiress to the Walton Walmart family fortune, and Stan Kroenke, who has a media conglomerate that has him valued in the neighborhood of $18 billion, which is a very nice neighborhood indeed to be in if you are the bumbling idiot son, Josh Kroenke, who at 45 years of age has never held a single job or achieved anything of note that did not involve suckling off of mommy and daddy's teat. And now the floundering and inept Nepo baby continues to shock and amaze us. In the depths the Nuggets are capable of reaching in throwing away the mythical unicorn they fell ass backwards into in the second round of the 2014 NBA draft. The second round. That would be the 41st pick overall, to be precise. And Nikola Jokic made his NBA debut in the 2015-16 season, where he averaged a modest 10 points, 7 rebounds, and 2 assists per game in 80 games played and 55 starts. But he has steadily built himself into one of the greatest players of all time since then. And from his aged 25 season running to this most recent year last year at age 30, he has put forth one of the best 5-year peak runs ever, with last year being the best one yet, where he averaged a 29-point triple-double and finished top 3 in 4 standard metrics: scoring, rebounds, assists, and steals, while leading the league in both PER and BPM and setting top 3 all-time single-season marks in both. Somehow, though, he only finished runner-up in the MVP, though the second-place finish cemented him as one of only 3 players ever to finish top 2 in league-wide MVP vote for at least 5 consecutive seasons, joining just Larry Bird and Bill Russell. Yet, the Nuggets didn't even make it out of the second round, and that for the second year in a row. The Nuggets' issues are well documented. One of the worst benches in the NBA, one that figures to get even worse now with their principal and really only contributor there outside of Russell Westbrook being Peyton Watson, who averaged just 4.5 points per game in the playoffs. And Westbrook, meanwhile, is as good as gone following his decision to turn down the player option for next season. And the Nuggets, realistically, well, they have no way to replace Westbrook's production because they are so tight against the second apron and hamstrung by the appalling contracts throughout their roster. And no, I'm not even talking necessarily about the $50 million annually that they owe Jamal Murray or the roughly $40 million per year going to Michael Porter Jr. Porter, by the way, who averaged just 9 points per game on 39% shooting from the field during the Nuggets' 14-game postseason run. Doesn't really seem like a great return on investment for that $40 million. But as if those contracts aren't bad enough, no, I am referring to the $8 million a year for Zeke Nnaji and $5 million a year for Dario Saric that they still owe these guys moving into next year. That's $14 million annually for two guys who were healthy scratches for virtually every playoff game the Nuggets appeared in last season. The financials of this team are in absolute shambles as they owe some 80% of their payroll, one of the highest in the league, by the way, to their top four players. And again, three of those four guys are Jamal Murray, Michael Porter Jr., and Aaron Gordon. Three players who combined in now 25 total years of playing experience have never made one single All-Star team or any All-NBA designations ever. Not one between them all. And none of them have even been remotely close, nor do any of them figure to be close anytime soon. You simply cannot overpay three of your top four guys when none of your young picks are materializing. The Nuggets had one of the worst net-rated benches league-wide, by far the worst-rated bench in all of the playoffs. Again, by far. And obviously, that is the equation for playoff success in the NBA now circa 2025, as laid out by the 10-deep Oklahoma City Thunder and Indiana Pacers who just played in the NBA Finals. So to recap though, the Nuggets, a terrible bench, and a team that lacks upper echelon players outside of course, the best player on the planet. They need an absolute wizard to come in and navigate their highly tenuous footing against the extremely punitive second apron while shedding the heinous ass contracts they are saddled with from the previous moron GM, Calvin Booth. Instead, what we get essentially is Kroenke naming himself general manager and waiting until the day before the draft, may I add, to do it, while several marquee moves have already been executed on the trade market. And that includes by a real GM, and a great one at that, in Brad Stevens, shedding two bad contracts in Drew Holiday and Kristaps Porzingis, while saving the Celtics some $140 million in cap penalties and bringing in intriguing young prospects while doing it. All of this while the Nuggets continue to sit idly by and talk about internal development. Literally, get the hell out of here. No, seriously, get out, Nikola Jokic. Speaking of which, Kroenke also yesterday mentioned an extension for Jokic, but, well, he doesn't know if he will sign that yet.
We're definitely going to offer it. I'm not sure if he's going to accept it or not, because we're also going to explain every financial parameter around him signing now versus signing later. Be completely transparent. That's the way we always are. And then he makes the best decision for himself and his family, and we'll support him in it.
But extension talks also came with an unsolicited hypothetical by Kroenke about the possibility of trading Jokic.
The wrong person gets injured, and very quickly you're into a scenario where that I never want to have to contemplate, and that's trade number 15.
And if I were Nikola Jokic watching this absolute train wreck ensue yesterday after dragging his team to a Game 7 of the second round in back-to-back years while exposing the overall issues of the roster, I would help Josh out with these trade musings with a little trade demand of my own. There is no way through here as Jokic sets to turn 31 next season. The overall lineup of this team is unsalvageable. They have been passed by several teams just out west, including the Thunder, Rockets, Timberwolves, and Mavericks, with the likelihood the Warriors and Lakers also add more in the offseason to also surpass Denver. That would put Denver 7th at best in the Western Conference hierarchy, while Josh Kroenke talks about internal development. absolutely breathtaking, the scope of idiocy draped around Nikola Jokic. And for more on that, you can check this video out now, highlighting the historical lack of supporting cast put around him in his prime. And as always, guys, please make sure you click that subscribe button and turn on notifications to stay up to date with more from me. Until next time.